Many of you, the three of them, and many of you use the Stafford subsidized loans with a low interest rate subsidized by the federal government to pay for college. If Congress doesn't act by July 1st, the 3.4% interest rate that you're now paying will double to 6.8%. That's why my legislation, which will freeze interest rates at 3.4%, is so important. This goes back to a bipartisan effort by President Bush and Democrats in the House of Representatives and Democrats in the Senate, freezing tuition for freezing Stafford subsidized loans at 3.4% for 5 years. Back in 2007, we enacted that legislation to freeze them at that rate for 5 years, just so we could keep debt as low as possible for young people that want to go to college. 382,000 students in Ohio, 382,000 students, 22,000 students were told just at the University of Cincinnati, thousands more at Xavier and others in Cincinnati State and other schools in the region would also obviously be affected. The average Ohio student graduating from a four-year institution now has on the average $27,000 in debt. The last thing we should be doing is adding to that already heavy debt load. That's why I've introduced the Stop the Student Loan Interest Rate hike, which, as I said, will freeze at 3.4% rather than in July letting that interest rate double.
This increase puts a lot of pressure on my family because I'm not the only child. I have a 2-year-old little sister, I have a 7-year-old brother, and I also have a little sister who's going to graduate next year and plans to go to college. And I feel like they're going to take more loans for her, and that's just going to be more pressure to pay my loans back when I graduate.
You said $877 billion is already owed to the government. Why would we want to be increasing that?
It'd be great if they could be lowered, but we know in the future they won't be lowered. But the easier it is for the cost of education, the more incentive there is for students to actually get a higher education.
They have now passed a bill the President has said he would veto because they are taking the money to pay for this from some preventive health care programs that will particularly do damage to young people and kids and low-income people that need preventive health care services. That's why the President said he'd veto it. I concur with that. The way we're paying for it is we want to pay for this bill. If we're going to freeze these rates, it costs money to do it. It costs government money to do it, and we want to pay for it by closing tax loopholes that lobbying firms, law firms, consulting firms, where people with a small number of partners, people making more than $250,000 a year, have been avoiding a Medicare tax. Speaker Gingrich, this is a bipartisan thing, Speaker Gingrich and Republican and Democratic Senator John Edwards, two examples of people who legally avoided paying a Medicare tax for years of thousands of dollars. That's the kind of loophole we want to change, we want to close. Governor Romney has said in the past, when he was governor of Massachusetts, that this kind of loophole should be closed on these subchapter S corporations. So we want to pay for it. We want to do it by closing a loophole that has helped upper income people instead of taking the money from low income people to give to basically working class and middle class college people.